Hello everyone, I am Sutapa Datta. Welcome to my channel Sutapa's Biology. My today's topic is fertilization and implantation in human being. That means it's under the topic human reproduction. You have already seen many videos on human reproduction which I have made it, and today the next one, that is the fertilization and implantation under the topic human reproduction. Okay, so starting today's topic, concentrate on it. And again I am telling you, for all informations for the competitive exams as well as board exams, you have to view or watch the complete video up to the last one. You will get many informations which will be exclusively important for the all exams. So starting fertilization in human being. During the copulation, the sperms get deposited in the vaginal tract of the female. So first is deposition of the insemination. We can say it insemination, that is the deposition of semen or sperm in the vaginal tract. Number two, after insemination, that is after copulation, the insemination takes place, and in all insemination or in all copulation, it's not must that the fertilization will take place, because there are so many ifs and buts, there are so many terms and conditions by which the fertilization will be successful. So first is insemination, it's the probable step of the fertilization. Next is capacitation of sperms. What is this? Capacitation means the activation of the sperms. Activation of the sperms takes place inside the vaginal tract by the effect of the prostaglandin, as well as by the uterine contraction. The sperms get activated, and these sperms then able to swim along in a great speed. Okay, so all the sperms are not be able to reach up to the spot of the fertilization. What is the spot of the fertilization? The spot of the fertilization is fallopian tube of female, and the main region of the fertilization is ampulla or ampullary isthmic junction. So all the sperms have to they have the destination, or they have the target to reach over there first, but all of them, millions of sperms are inseminated or deposited during the copulation, but all the sperms are not able to swim up to that space. So here is the first competition starting. Okay, so in the first competition, there some are selected and some are eliminated, just like the competitive exams which you will face, the NEET or etc. like that. Oh, numbers there. 3 is after that capacitation, when the sperms, the able sperms or potential sperms, when reach to the ampullary isthmic junction, there if the ovum is there, then only there is the chance or probability of fertilization. Okay, so here reaction of the sperm and ovum, that's known as fertilizing and anti-fertilization interaction. Now what is fertilizing and what is anti-fertilizing? These are the some protein factors which are present on the ovum and sperm. On the ovum, there the receptors or anti-fertilizing will be fertilizing will be secreted from that, and from the sperm the anti-fertilizing will be secreted, and this anti-fertilizing and fertilizing has the reaction or interaction like the antigen and antibody. So they will interact with each other, and then of the sperm, only 4 to from the millions of the sperm, only 4 to 5 sperms maximum will be able to uh, participate in this fertilization anti-fertilization interaction. Okay, so you are understanding, I think, that what's the tough competition they have. So next is that if there is viable ovum, then this fertilization and anti-fertilization reaction will take place, and after that the acrosomal cap of the sperm will break to release the different enzymes like that hyaluronidase, main is hyaluronidase, lysine, protease, etc. So rupturing of acrosomal cap of the sperm. So the after rupturing of the acrosomal cap, the what will be this enzymes? The most important enzyme here is hyaluronidase. Number 2 is protease. Number 3 is lysine, etc. So by the effect of this the hormones, the sperm will be able to dissolve the cementing layer of the ovum, which is made up of hyaluronic acid. Okay, so in my last video I have already told you about the composition of the wall of the ovum. There we have discussed that in the vitelline membrane there are hyaluronic acid cementing layer, and in the corona radiata also there is the amount of the hyaluronic acid. So sperm has to penetrate these walls by this enzyme, by the effect of this enzyme, that is the hyaluronidase. So after rupturing the acrosomal cap, now by the cone of reception, ovum has the cone of reception. In that cone of reception, this one sperm will be attached. Ultimately, it will cross the barrier. It will be able to win the race, or it will be able to cross the barrier and to be able to enter inside the ooplasm of the ovum. So next is penetration of sperm nucleus by dissolving the wall of hyaluronic acid. So after that, the now sperm nucleus is inside the ooplasm, and the other part of the sperm, that is the its outer covering, its other mitochondria, its tail, etc., all are left outside, and only the nucleus of the sperm with the proximal centriole, not the distal centriole, only the proximal centriole with this will go inside the ooplasm to perform the next function. Now one thing is that after entering of the one sperm, there is the chance of the polyspermy. Why? Because many sperms are there in the queue to enter inside the ooplasm. They will also rupture their acrosomal cap and will try to enter the ooplasm, but that will damage the embryo by polyspermy. That's why there is the protection of the ovum by lay down the fertilization membrane. Now, due to the formation of the fertilization membrane just after a penetration of the sperm, it prevents the polyspermy. Okay, it's very important for the competitive exam like NEET. Now, next is that Then after entering inside the ooplasm is very dense. Why it's dense? As it has to give the all nutrition to the zygote and to the upcoming embryo. So naturally the ooplasm is very dense, and after entering inside the ooplasm, firstly the sperm nucleus, which is called as pronuclei, that pronucleus is quite puzzled where it has to go to meet with the ovum nuclei, pronuclei. So it has to find out a copulatory path. Then it will follow the copulatory path to enter, to get reach to the ovum pronuclei. Now the ovum pronuclei is now very busy. Why it's very busy? Because it has not completed its meiosis 2 yet. We have discussed in the last video also that in oogenesis video I have told you that there is the incomplete division of the ovum during when it get discharged from the ovary, and after fertilization they complete the meiosis 2. After meiosis 1 they get discharged from the ovary, and after meiosis they perform the meiosis 2 or complete the meiosis 2 just after fertilization. So ovum pronuclei is very busy to make it ready for the fertilization. Now it's sure that fertilization will be there. There is no uncertainty, and so it will start the meiosis 2. Now in that time the sperm pronuclei will find its way to meet with the ovum pronuclei. After that the zygotic division will start by the help of the proximal centriole. So this is about the fertilization. This part is over about the fertilization. Then we shall start about the implantation. Implantation in the human being. What is implantation? Firstly, I am going to discuss that implantation is the step by which the embryo get settled in the endometrium of the uterus. Implantation takes inside the uterus and on the layer endometrium. As endometrium is very vessel rich layer, it's related with the menstrual cycle also we know, and due to the breaking of the endometrium, extra growth of the endometrium without the fertilization, that time the by breaking the bleeding takes place. So it's a vessel rich layer which gives the nutrition to the developing embryo. So the embryo get implanted in the endometrium of the uterus, and it's very important thing. It should be implanted here. Otherwise, if it get implanted wrongly in other place, that's known as ectopic pregnancy. And ectopic pregnancy is very bad thing for the mother and the baby both. Mother get affected by that, by the injury or wound formation, and the baby get harmed as it will be miscarriage. It will not be a successful fertilization. So implantation is the next part of the fertilization, which is also very important for the reproduction. Now in implantation, the that is the developing embryo in the 16 to 32 cells, that's known as blastomeric condition or blastocyst, which is known as blastomere or blastocyst. It should be implanted in the endometrium, but it's formed inside the fallopian tube. Now sometimes it can be misplaced or it can be misimplanted in the fallopian tube also, which will harm both the baby and the mother. And how it can take place? What's the problem or why this type of mistake take place? As there is the layer, you know, in the last video I have told you about the structure of the ovum, and there you have studied about the zona pellucida, vitelline membrane, etc. Now zona pellucida is the very important layer for this. Why? Because zona pellucida protect the trophoblast cells. So what are the trophoblast cells? Trophoblast cells are the phagocytotic cells which remain present just below the zona pellucida. Now if the zona pellucida is broken, then naturally the trophoblast cells will be exposed. But Zona pellucida take the complete responsibility for the proper implantation, and that's why it remain intact up to it will reach the proper place. That's the uterus or endometrium of the uterus. So zona, what's the role of the zona pellucida? You can get the question in this manner also. What's the role of the zona pellucida? I am telling about that zona pellucida protects the trophoblast cells which remain below it, below this layer. Now, if the zona pellucida get ruptured in the fallopian tube, then trophoblast cell will not think about the what's the right place for it. Trophoblast cell immediately, I have told you already that it's the phagocytotic cells, and it will just erode the surrounding cells. And if it takes place inside the fallopian tube, other than the uterus, then what will happen? Fallopian tube has not much muscle or flesh, etc. there, so naturally there will be a leakage of the fallopian tube and mother will feel the bleeding, external bleeding for that, and the embryo will not be implanted properly. So trophoblast protect Zona pellucida protect the trophoblast cell layer, and when it trickles down, it will the developing embryo will trickle down through the fallopian tube, and it will reach to the uterus, and when it will come in contact with the endometrium, that time the trophoblast cell will be exposed by the rupturing of the zona pellucida. Zona pellucida, its responsibility is completed and it will be wiped off, and by rupturing the zona pellucida, the trophoblast cell will get exposed to the endometrium, and it will erode the cells of the endometrium. And after that, like the sowing seeds are in the soil, the trophoblast cell will show the embryo inside the endometrium, and then the endometrium cells will grow outside it to make it properly settled. Okay, so this is about the implantation. These all steps are included in the implantation. So what will happen? Number one, in implantation, the number one step is that the formation of blastocyst inside the ampulla of fallopian tube. Number two, blastocyst is of 16 to 32 cells. Number three, now it's ready to get implanted inside the endometrium of the uterus. Now blastocyst, I have told you the blastocyst will trickle down through the fallopian tube, and it will reach to the blastocyst will reach to the endometrium zona pellucida will protect the layer of trophoblast. Below the zona pellucida. Now, after that, next point is that after reaching to the endometrium, the zona pellucida will rupture to expose the trophoblast expose the trophoblast and erosion of endometrial tissue will take place by phagocytotic activity of the trophoblast. And the embryo will be implanted. The developing embryo get implanted by the growth of the endometrial tissue outside. This is about all the steps of the implantation. Now, another thing I am again telling you that the ectopic pregnancy is a different term which is you will require it for the competitive exam. any competitive exam, either NEET or either etc. All this. Now, what is ectopic pregnancy? That's the unsuccessful process of the pregnancy. In ectopic pregnancy, the embryo get implanted in the wrong place. Okay, any wrong place. It might be fallopian tube or any other part of the uterus where the endometrium is not so thick. Actually, the proper place to implant the embryo inside the endometrium is mostly proper place is the fundus of the uterus, as fundus is the dome shaped region where maximum muscle the embryo will get to get nourished and to procure its nutrition properly. So that's all today, and we shall again meet in the next video. Okay, bye.